Yeah, but we need to be with that pain. We need to be with it.
Yeah.
And that's what, in the psychedelic experience, you have no choice. You have to be there, right?
Yeah.
And process it and try to learn and be stressed. And
yeah, you got to, a lot of people who do the ceremonies, they find it maybe initially at the point it's pretty uncomfortable because you're realizing things, you're facing things. It's like a whole years and years of psychotherapy in one fucking night, man, running through your head, you know, and you got to work that stuff out. That's why it's good. I think a lot of the modern camps, they have integration where you can talk about it afterwards and talk to people, and that's not the traditional way, because the traditional ayahuasca way is you go do the ceremony and then, you know, you kind of go back home. But in the West, our lives are different. If you live in Peru in a, you know, very rural place, your life and the things you're exposed to and the challenges, and it's totally different. So a lot of people need afterwards to, like, you know, still process it and talk through it and everything.
Yeah. What's been your history with psychedelics, and what are your plans next for psychedelics?
Well, you know, I've always been a kind of user and advocate of cannabis, so that was the first thing. And then
that's psychoactive, but not
psychoactive.
psychedelic.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, and I learned a lot about that, like all the negative things that people believe, and even I believed, a lot of them were not founded. I mean, it had a lot of positive effects. So I was already open to this world, if you like. And then somebody introduced me to DMT, which I'd read about and I wanted to experience, and I've talked about that a lot. That just takes you into a totally different zone. So then it's like me jumping on this trampoline and I'm seeing, oh, wow, there's shit. And almost when I'm there, it's like you feel like you got all the answers and there's nothing to worry about. There is no death, there is no beginning and end, and it's all a bit of a game we're playing here and with ourselves, and we don't know, and don't get upset, don't take it too seriously. But then you come back and you don't retain all of that.
But you see a lot of things. I mean, within 60 seconds, like Dorian said, you literally on a trampoline and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot more happening here than I thought in my narrow band of this eyesight and earsight.
Well, you're seeing behind the computer screen that we're in, right? You know, quantum physicists and scientists and everything, they can explain it much deeper than I can, but it's something that I first contemplated about 20 years ago because I read David Icke's books. And 20 years ago, this guy was talking about we're living in a holographic kind of construct in the universe. And at first I couldn't even understand what the guy was saying. I mean, now I understand it, you know? Just if me and you are appearing now on somebody's computer screen, me and you are not in the computer, right? What is it? It's zeros and ones and a code and everything that's creating the picture that they're looking at. And the reality is a bit like that. So when you take psychedelics, very often you see numbers and you see geometric shapes and so on. So I think you're seeing the construct behind what we normally perceive is made of zeros and ones. And there's a guy called Professor Yates, I think his name is. Okay. And he said that they've analyzed reality down to the smallest level. And they said, what did we find? Zeros and ones. And not only that, as a computer code. And he's saying not only a computer code, a specific computer code that was invented in 1940s. So that's a whole nother rabbit hole if you want to go down there. Because why are we in a computer code that some guy, I don't remember his name, that he came up with in the 1940s? So yeah, check out Professor Yates if you want to go listen to that story. It's very interesting.